Hello, welcome everyone. Nice to see so many people joined on already. I'm just going to ensure that the interpretation settings are working here before we get started. I just want to confirm, oh, there we go. So I'm just going to check to see if the Inuktitut interpretation is working. Cindy and Rhoda, can you hear me?
I hear you, yes.
Yeah, I hear
Okay.
you too.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to check
Yeah.
to ensure that the Iqaluit interpretation is working. Aleka, can you hear me?
Ja, dus eigenlijk.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so everything's working now. And I'm just going to share my screen here. I will leave a link to the public presentation here. So if any of the attendees or the viewers would like to follow along on your personal device, then you have the ability to do so. And I'll share my screen here in a second. Okay, there we go. Can everyone see my screen here?
Yes, I see it.
Oh, yes.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. I just have to shut off the noises around me. Welcome, everyone. Nice to see so many attendees here. I know we can't see your video here, but I'd like to say good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I know that we're all in different time zones here. Before we begin the webinar, I'd like to mention that there is Inuktitut and Iqaluit translation or interpretation available.
Yeah,
At the bottom of your at the bottom of your screen, you should see a little globe icon. So you can click that and choose the language that you prefer to listen in on. And then in the chat, there is a...
Tusayagin.
Also,
register kaugama. Register kaugama tema na ko tusavagin.
Aha, ila asingin tusada ang kalwapunga kay.
So I just want to... I think that I'm getting some background noise. Okay. I think that it's just me now. Okay.
Okay, uvanga to ang palayo. In minute usaga ma. Hanring ito.
I hear you too, so that's kind of odd.
Yeah, okay. So let's see here. So we're getting so I think Rhoda is assigned as, let's see here. Okay, sorry everyone. We're just having some technical issues here. So let me see. Okay, Rhoda, I think that I've... Oh, 1 second.
Okay. O siya kay.
Just 1 second.
Okay, so I think I've fixed it from my end.
Okay, is this
Tusaksaw ulit
Rhoda or
ba?
Cindy?
It's Cindy right now, so I
Tusaksaw
should be okay.
Tusaksaw
Tusaksaw
Okay.
ulit ko nga.
Tusaksaw yutuwan nun.
Namatsi kay ukudo nga singin no. Ilaw yun nun. Tusaksaw nga.
Can you hear
Asingin no.
Cindy?
Yeah, I can
Any
still hear you on the
participants?
main.
That's not good.
Let's see.
So okay.
Okay, I'm gonna update this, and then I think that I've added Rhoda, and I'm gonna try to add you as
I should. Uh-huh.
okay, let me see here.
Man English nakisimaya ka. Tusajagi Rhoda. Ukadla lang ato ako inutitut. Tabay inutito ko nga. Halo na atitut English. So we should be okay,
So,
or are we good to go?
not yet. Sorry, Cindy. So Rhoda, I was
Asu.
able
Okay.
to add as a as the Inuktitut translator, but I'm struggling here to add you, Cindy, as another interpreter.
Oh, darn.
I'm so sorry. This is a recurring issue, and let's see.
I hate to interrupt, but to delay the start time of your series, I'm wondering if Rhoda could do the interpretation to start, and then they can try and add me on there if that will help.
Yeah, I think that would be great. So I have Alicia, my colleague from ICC here, who will help
Okay.
us to get the interpretation function working.
Eh,
I see here, Alicia, that Cindy is signed on as a guest and not an interpreter. So if you could possibly work through that on the back end, then I'll get started. And then we'll check in a little bit to see that Cindy can get on as an interpreter. Okay, so I mentioned that I've left the link to this presentation in the chat. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Melinda Iqaluit. I'm honored to welcome you to this 6-week webinar series. This is the second webinar of 6. And the main focus is on strengthening the health and well-being of Inuit children and families across Inuit Nunaat. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Inuit lands and waters across Inuit Nunaat where participants are joining from today, as well as the lands that others are joining us from, including Treaty 6, where I am currently residing, also known as Edmonton, Alberta. We recognize the strength and resilience and leadership of Inuit and Inuit communities, and we thank you for taking the time to be here with us today. Your presence reflects a shared commitment to supporting Inuit children, families, and future generations. This webinar speaker series is grounded in Inuit knowledge, lived experience, and community leadership. It's about visioning together and learning from one another what a full continuum of care could look like for Inuit children and families. We're grateful to all of our speakers, partners, and participants, as well as the viewers that have taken time to contribute to this important dialogue. And I'd like to thank our interpreters, Rhoda Kayakjuak, Cindy Rennie, and Aletta Hammond, who are our interpreters. So we thank you for making this accessible in Inuktitut and Galatlisut. I'd also like to thank Corinne, who is our digital note taker slash artist, for turning this series into a visual. So in the link that I had sent, you can submit where you're from, or you can submit it in the chat. The chat function is fully available for everyone here, as well as the Q&A function on Zoom as well. So I'd like to just take a minute or so to gratefully acknowledge the generous support of our funder, Novo Nordisk Canada. Through their financial support, they've helped to make this speaker series possible. Their support helps create space for Inuit-led dialogue, knowledge sharing, and the development of culturally grounded approaches that strengthen families and communities across Inuit Nunaat. This 6-week speaker series or webinar series will focus on different components of health and wellness for Inuit across Inuit Nunaat. And we have and we will continue to invite speakers, Inuit speakers and Inuit organizations to share insights, promising practices, community-led initiatives and projects, and to hear the voices of Inuit and Inuit organizations on what pillars and values are supporting the health and well-being of Inuit. I will mention that each webinar will be recorded, and some parts of the series will be shared on our website and social media. I am in the process of trying to get last week's webinar available to view. Eventually, all of the webinar series will be available through our website or our YouTube page. But in saying that, I'll also mention, because it's recorded, at the end of the webinar series, there will be a Q&A period. So if your voice is, or if you choose to speak or ask a question, you may be recorded. Your video won't show, but the audio will be recorded and available. So over the next 5 weeks, we have this week and then 4 weeks left. We'll focus on different components. And again, as I said, please feel free to use the chat to share reflections, questions, and experiences. And there will also be a Q&A period or an engagement period at the end of the webinar. So I'll just share a little bit about the agenda. So just doing a welcome and introductions. I'll do a little bit of a project overview, and then we will welcome our speaker from Ilitaqsiniq, based in Nunavut, to share a presentation. We'll have about a 10-minute break, and then we'll get into engagement and Q&A. So this project and speaker series was first coined when ICC was working on our strategic health plan. And through many individuals, including the Circumpolar Inuit Health Steering Committee members, or for short, the CIHSC, were included in creating our strategic health plan. And to give a little bit of background on the CIHSC, it's a committee led by the Inuit Circumpolar Council, and it comprises of 2 members from Alaska, 2 members from Canada, and 2 members from Greenland. And all of those members are knowledgeable in health and wellness across Inuit Nunaat. So through their work, it was realized that across our homelands, no region currently benefits from a full, coordinated continuum of services that support Inuit children and families at every stage of life. And too often we are working through fragmented systems that don't fully reflect our ways of knowing, being, and doing. And without a shared vision of what a complete continuum of care could look like, it becomes difficult to strengthen systems or advocate for meaningful change. So this speaker series is sort of a 2-part process, and it's part of a broader effort to explore what a continuum could look like, to highlight promising programs and practices, to identify key pillars and values rooted in Inuit knowledge, and to strengthen collective understanding and unity. So ultimately, this speaker series is about knowledge mobilization, highlighting successful and impactful work across Inuit Nunaat, building clarity, alignment, and unity, and momentum with the vision of building an Inuit-led continuum in the future. So I just like sharing this map because I think that it's sometimes not well known how vast Inuit homelands truly are. So this shows all of our countries that Inuit reside in. And I think it's just such a beautiful map. So I guess I'll start by introducing a little bit about Ilitaqsiniq, and then I'll get into introducing our speaker. So Ilitaqsiniq is based in Nunavut, and they aim to reconnect Inuit to their traditions and knowledge while looking towards the future. Ilitaqsiniq's programs blend culture-based learning with language literacy, wellness, and essential skills. And Ilitaqsiniq is well known and respected for designing and delivering unique culture-based learning programs customized for Nunavummiut, or the people of Nunavut, and workplaces operating in the Arctic. Ilitaqsiniq is centered in the three hubs in Iqaluit, Rankin, and Cambridge Bay. And they regularly rotate programs to other communities throughout Nunavut. And for over 20 years, Ilitaqsiniq has proudly made meaningful, tangible difference in the lives of children, youth, adults, families, and local communities across Nunavut. So initially, we were going to have two speakers today, but one of our speakers is stuck on her way home, which is very typical of Northern travel. But it's my pleasure to introduce Adriana Kusubak, who is the executive director from Ilitaqsiniq, as our speaker this week. So Adriana is the executive director of Ilitaqsiniq since 2018. She's from Rankin Inlet, Nunavut, and she's completed her entire education from kindergarten to her master's degree in Nunavut. And amongst the amazing things that Adriana has done in her career, which I think that she'll get into a little bit more, Adriana is an Anana to two children, and she enjoys spending time on the land and at their cabin, as well as the hockey rink, which I think is very Rankin specific or Nunavut specific. So please join me in welcoming Adriana as our speaker this week. And I will also share that Olivia, who is currently stuck in Yellowknife on her way home to Rankin, was also supposed to be with us today, but I'll share a little bit about Olivia. She is the Director of IT and Communications at Ilitaqsiniq. And Olivia has extensive experience in program development, communications, and organizational leadership with a strong focus on Inuit and community-driven approaches. I'm sad that we couldn't have Olivia with us today, but there will definitely be an opportunity to connect with Olivia and Adriana if any of the attendees wish. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and then allow Adriana to share her screen, and she'll spend about the next hour or so giving us a little bit of information and insights on Ilitaqsiniq, and then we'll have a break, and then we'll have an engagement and Q&A period at the end. So welcome, Adriana. Thank you so much for being here. We're very honored to have Ilitaqsiniq as our second speaker of this webinar speaker series.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Melinda, for the introduction. I'm just going to start by sharing my screen first, and then I'll start talking. Takuk Salva, does it show?
Yep.
Yeah, we can see it.
Good. And everybody can hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you very well, Adriana. Thank you.
Okay. Let's get started. Tunga sugitsi, koyan nami ilaw gamata mani. Ubang Adriana kusugak nguyunga kangaklinang miutaw lovik tunga saka masuk chemak tunga Nunavummiut gama. Tuki mo aktiti nguyunga Ilitaqsiniq kutni. I just wanted to welcome everybody to the conversation today and thank you all for being here. My name is Adriana Kusugak and I serve as the Executive Director for Ilitaqsiniq. My parents moved to Nunavut, previously known as NWT, but my parents moved to my hometown of Rankin Inlet before I was born. And I have had the privilege of growing up in an Inuit community my whole life. As Melinda mentioned, I completed all of my schooling here in Nunavut, right through to my Bachelor of Education in the Nunavut Teacher Education Program and my Master's of Educational Leadership through University of PEI. So I just wanted to start by letting you all know that while I am not Inuk, I have lived, learned, and worked in Inuit communities my entire life. Inuktitut is my second language. My cultural practices are Inuit-centered, and Nunavut is my home. My husband, children, extended family are all Inuit, and my work is rooted in supporting Inuit communities and the territory as a whole. Ilitaqsiniq is an Inuit-led organization governed by an all-Inuit board of directors that represent the 3 regions of Nunavut. It is a privilege to serve in support of that leadership and vision. So I join you all today representing Ilitaqsiniq. I would like to thank the Inuit Circumpolar Council for inviting Ilitaqsiniq to be a part of this speaker series. It is meaningful to be in a space that centers Inuit voices and community-driven practices across Inuit Nunaat. At Ilitaqsiniq, our work is grounded in the understanding that wellness, resilience, and identity are inseparable from culture and community. Being able to share our organizational experiences alongside Inuit leaders and all of you here today representing organizations from across the regions is both humbling and affirming. I am grateful to ICC for creating the space for organizations and leaders who are committed to Inuit well-being to come together, to share a vision grounded in lived experience, and to strengthen our collective capacity. Gatherings like this reinforce the shared responsibility that we all carry. I'm so thankful for this opportunity, and I look forward to the conversation that we are about to have today. As I mentioned, Ilitaqsiniq is an Inuit-led, non-for-profit registered charity that serves communities across Nunavut. We have offices in each of the 3 regional hubs of Nunavut, which include Iqaluit, Rankin Inlet, and Cambridge Bay. And we deliver programming throughout the territory. I just wanted to mention to give you an idea and some context about our territory. We have 25 communities, and each of them are fly in, fly out only. However, we do have some accessibility in the summertime by boat and in the wintertime by skidoo. Ilitaqsiniq is well known for designing and delivering programming that are culturally grounded and community-driven. Our approach connects Inuit to the traditions, knowledge, and strengths of our culture while also supporting the skills needed to navigate into today's contemporary systems, whether that be employment, education, leadership, or family wellness. It is also important to note, and what I wanted to share with each of you before we get into the details, is that Ilitaqsiniq programs are largely project funded, meaning behind every single program we deliver, there is a proposal, a partnership, and a reporting structure that sustains the work. While that work often happens quietly behind the scenes, it is essential to ensuring communities continue to have access to culturally grounded programming. At our core, we exist to strengthen identity, build capacity, and support Inuit in thriving within our communities on our own terms. Our purpose at Ilitaqsiniq is to reconnect Inuit to culture, language, and identity while building the skills and confidence needed to thrive in today's world. We believe learning is strongest when it is relational, practical, and rooted in who we are. That's why our programs are community-based and culturally grounded. We blend Inuit knowledge and lived experience with literacy, language, essential skills, wellness, leadership development, and practical pathways to education and employment. Our work responds directly to community priorities, and we adapt to local realities across Nunavut. So you might be wondering, why does this matter? We feel very strongly that it matters because when people feel safe, respected, and connected to who they are, learning happens. When learning happens, confidence grows. And when confidence grows, our communities grow together and stronger. At the heart of our mission is this vision: capable, confident Nunavummiut connected to the heartbeat of Inuit culture. Melinda mentioned that the part of this speaker series is to support a continuum of care. And Ilitaqsiniq very much believes and advocates for long-term stable support, because we know that those types of conditions are needed for real and lasting impact. It allows our organization to move beyond short-term reactive programming and instead plan with intention, accountability, and sustainability in mind. For Ilitaqsiniq, this long-term planning made it possible to step back and ask bigger questions. What are the gaps? What are our communities asking for? And how do we design programs that respond not just to today's needs, but for future generations? With the ability to plan over multiple years, we developed a clear strategic framework that guides our work. It is listed here through our Makipalyanaq 5-year strategic plan. The goals you see here reflect a long-term approach focused on strengthening community programs, building workforce capacity, expanding regional reach, and investing in systems that support consistent, high-quality delivery across Nunavut. As you see, they include innovation, Inuit-led, where we inspire hope and stay true to Inuit-led, Ilitaqsiniq, which is creating pathways for Inuit empowerment. And for those of you that might not know what Ilitaqsiniq means, it was a role that an individual had in a community or in a camp to make the paths from community to community or hunting ground to hunting ground. They were the ones who forged the path to make it safe for everybody else to follow. They were the true navigators. And so we take that role very seriously at Ilitaqsiniq. And finally, Kinaw Yailiunginnak. We, as I mentioned, are a non-for-profit society where we're majorly project-based funded. So we're always looking for ways to achieve long-term financial security for Ilitaqsiniq. Long-term support also allows for adaptation. It gives our organization the flexibility to respond to emerging needs, adjust programming based on community feedback, and invest in people and infrastructure that strengthen outcomes over time. Ultimately, shared and sustained investment supports better planning, stronger partnerships, and more meaningful results to the communities that we serve. At Ilitaqsiniq, our work is guided by Inuit leadership. Because all of our board of directors are Inuit and represent the 3 regions of Nunavut, that ensures that our priorities remain grounded in community, realities, and lived experience. We regularly ask ourselves, how do our programs connect across life stages? How youth programming can link to education, how education links to employment, and how those pathways contribute to long-term wellness, leadership, and community capacity. We are very lucky here at Ilitaqsiniq, where we experience many full circle moments, where our participants eventually become our instructors of our programs, thus adding to the continuum of care that Ilitaqsiniq provides. It is this forward-thinking approach aligned closely with the speaker series topic today. Across Inuit Nunaat, we know no single organization or region can build a continuum alone. So our role at Ilitaqsiniq is to contribute at least a little bit in part to that continuum, where we strengthen connections between programs, where we share what we are learning, and support approaches that reflect Inuit ways of knowing, being, and doing. Ilitaqsiniq is deeply Inuit-led. Of our core 27 positions at Ilitaqsiniq right now, the vast majority are held by Inuit, over 90%. And as mentioned, our board of directors are 100% Inuit women. This leadership structure matters. It ensures that our programs are guided by Inuit values, lived experience, and community priorities. Just to give you a little bit of history about our organization, in 2018, we were a 3-member team. We were only 3 staff. Today, we operate across 3 regional hubs and employ a growing network of Inuit elders, IQ specialists, community coordinators, and community partners. In this past fiscal year alone, Ilitaqsiniq hired over 294 project-based Inuit staff across Nunavut. This resulted in $2.9 million in wages that stayed right within Inuit communities. We are extremely proud of that. I also want to introduce you to our Iqaluit Center team. It is staffed by 4 full-time staff members who anchor the space by providing consistency, structure, and care. Alongside them, we have 10 Inuit youth leaders who are in junior high and high school and are actively involved in delivering Ilitaqsiniq programming. We are not just running after-school programs. We are creating early employment pathways. Our youth leaders, they are actively involved and engaged in designing activities, facilitating programming, mentoring younger children, managing responsibilities, and developing professional skills at a very young age. We tell them all the time, if you can work at the Iqaluit Center, you can work anywhere. They gain work experience and confidence. They gain so much leadership capacity and understand accountability. At the Iqaluit Center, we don't just serve youth, we employ them, we mentor them, and we prepare them to lead. As one of our staff members, who is the manager of the Iqaluit Center, reflected, this is her quote, Ilitaqsiniq is an example of what Inuit leaders envisioned when they created Nunavut, an Inuit-centered approach to building capacity, creating opportunity, and strengthening our communities on our own terms. I will go into the Iqaluit Center a little bit more later on in the presentation. Now I would like to introduce each of you to what we call Ilitaqsiniq innovation, on purpose innovation. So when we talk about innovation, what we're really talking about is how Inuit culture moves forward without losing itself. Over the past 2 decades, Ilitaqsiniq has developed programs that reconnect Inuit to our culture and knowledge while preparing us for the future. Ilitaqsiniq innovation reflects our belief that Inuit culture is not static. It is living, it is adaptive, and it is innovative. It recognizes our strengths, creativity, and right to live and learn in Inuktitut. For a long time, we struggled with how to explain our work at Ilitaqsiniq because it didn't fit nicely into a Southern framework. Innovation gave us a language for what we are already doing. We are honoring elders. We are teaching in Inuktitut. We are creating safe spaces. We are helping people heal while they learn. And it reminds us every day that Inuit culture didn't disappear, and instead it is alive and thriving. It is constantly adapting. And our programs are prime examples of how we continue to adapt with Inuit culture. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail of each of the elements of Ilitaqsiniq innovation, because at Ilitaqsiniq, we take a holistic approach in everything we do. This describing the elements showcases the holistic approach of Ilitaqsiniq innovation. So the first element is honoring the past while embracing the future. Ilitaqsiniq programs acknowledge, recognize, and learn from the wisdom of elders, while we find new ways to support younger generations to actively embrace our culture and language. A driving force behind Ilitaqsiniq's programs is to interrupt the intergenerational and ongoing effects of colonialism, and to lead forward towards reclaiming and revitalizing our traditions. Inuit cultural practices are deeply connected to the land and the seasons as determined by Inuit historically. This is how we reflect it in our planning and in our programs. The second element, advancing our fundamental belief in Inuit culture to grow, thrive, and adapt. We believe in the strength, resourcefulness, and innovation of our people. Ilitaqsiniq programs are heart-centered and built to inspire hope every step of the way. Inuit are resilient by nature, and we give opportunities for participants to experience this for themselves through our programs. Fostering connections between participants, community, and the land sets the stage for healing, learning, and self-realization, as well as the confidence to move onward. The third element, creating safe and healing spaces. Through our programs, we strive to offer environments that feel safe for our participants. Every individual and their personal experiences are unique. We accept participants where they are at, and we offer support and compassion. We acknowledge our shared history and trauma while focusing on the joy of learning and being together. Places of discovery and exploration Our non-formal programs provide space and opportunity for participants to determine their own success. Maintaining harmony and balance are central to Inuit ways of living a good life and to our program. The fourth element, and these are in no particular order. Like I said, it's a holistic approach. They all are interconnected, is living and learning in Inuktitut. We believe in our right to live and learn in Inuktitut. It is the foundation for Inuit culture, and it holds all the stories, knowledge, family histories, and connections that our people have learned over millennia. Language is integral to our way of knowing. In Ilitaqsiniq programs, Inuktitut is incorporated as much as possible. Fifth, we embed literacy, language, and essential skills. Literacy, language, and essential skills are integrated and embedded in various ways throughout Ilitaqsiniq programs. This refers to the deliberate integration of literacy, language, and essential skills so that our programs are reflective of life in the Arctic, and what we are teaching is practical, meaningful, and useful. In this way, by embedding these skills, we reinforce the learning of culture and subject-specific content. We boost participants' skill and proficiency, and we bolster their confidence to apply these skills in and beyond the program. The sixth element, final element, is building a whole community. Ilitaqsiniq embraces community whenever it envisions a new program. Celebration of new accomplishments and learning may be shared with immediate family members and at times the broader community. For example, a hunting program may honor the first catch when participants share the harvest with the community. A sewing program may rejoice in the creations at a fashion show open to the whole community. In this way, the individual learning and growth spreads across the community. Similarly, each program builds on the strengths and resources that already exist in the community, thus strengthening community bonds. So as I mentioned earlier, when this past fiscal year, we hired 294 Inuit to support us in delivering and instructing in our programs, this is what we mean by building a whole community. We know the expertise lies in our communities. We know the skills and talents and abilities our elders have, our knowledge keepers have, and what Ilitaqsiniq does is we work directly with communities, we hire local, and we highlight all the strengths and abilities that already exist and just bring that opportunity to life and help our community members connect with each other, connect with culture, and build the confidence and skills to grow and develop personally. At its heart, innovation is about disrupting the ongoing impacts of colonialism. We have a board member who is also an elder and a residential school survivor, and this is her quote, Elizabeth Lyle. Elizabeth mentioned and said, Ilitaqsiniq is bringing back what residential schools took away. It is through our description of Ilitaqsiniq innovation that anchors a shared language for us to work and gives our organization a clear and distinct identity that I am very proud to share with you all today. Ilitaqsiniq innovative programs deliver quality, holistic learning opportunities that are relevant to Inuit today. Building on what Inuit have always known to be true, our programs apply traditional skills to contemporary life and empower Inuit with the agency to be strong participants in an ever-evolving society. Pride in our culture and identity is a core element of Ilitaqsiniq programs. That is how we build confidence. All of our programs are tailored to meet community needs and delivered in partnership with a range of committed funders and community champions. We understand that our participants face many barriers, such as financial constraints, food insecurity, transportation challenges, and housing insecurity, limited prior access to education, or limited positive experiences with formalized education, as well as the intergenerational impacts of colonialism. So at Ilitaqsiniq, we respond intentionally. We provide snacks and meals in all of our programs. We provide all of the materials, equipment, and supplies required in all of our programs. We provide safe spaces. We embed literacy and essential skills into cultural practices, meaning we're always leading with Inuit-led. We offer mentorship and relational support. Having elders lead our programs allows for that automatic, natural tendency for them to counsel and guide our participants. And we provide opportunities to engage with and learn from elders and knowledge keepers. We meet people where they are at and take a heart-centered approach. We take the shame out of not knowing and not having. This is extremely important to removing barriers to participation. We walk alongside our participants and we provide wraparound supports that removes the barriers to their active and engaged participation. But there is also a systemic reality. Much of our funding that Ilitaqsiniq receives is program-specific and short-term. This structure can limit our ability to do the sustained long-term work that true capacity building requires. Inuit ways of learning are relational and cumulative. They are not designed to fit neatly within one-year funding cycles, especially starting on April 1st when we like to do lots of on-the-land programming in the spring. We find it very difficult to work within that system. However, we continue to advocate for funding models that recognize long-term community development, prevention rather than crisis response, holistic interconnected programming, and ones that recognize the Inuit seasons. Because we know that real change, real confidence, real economic independence takes time. I'm now going to take you through some of the categories and themes of Ilitaqsiniq programming so that you have a better understanding of the types of programs that we offer our participants across Nunavut. The first three that we'll go through are Pathways for Inuit Empowerment, on-the-land programs, food and harvesting programs. Each of these categories of programs can stand on their own, but together they reflect the interconnected nature of Inuit knowledge systems. Pathways for Inuit Empowerment strengthens understanding of Inuit history, societal values, and identity. On-the-land programs build practical skills, navigation, safety, seasonal awareness, and live connection to the land. Food and harvesting programs develop competence in safe and sustainable harvesting, food preparation and preservation, responsible use of resources. While these programs are delivered individually, the skills gained in one can reinforce growth in another. For example, our land skills strengthen harvesting knowledge. Harvesting knowledge supports food security. Materials from harvesting may later be used in sewing and cultural industry programs, which I will share with you on the next slide. This reflects how Inuit knowledge has never worked in silos, instead in a relational manner. While participants gain, and what participants gain, can carry forward into so many other areas of their learning and life. Skill development is cumulative and connected, even when our programming is delivered separately. The last three categories of programming that we have at Ilitaqsiniq include early learning and engaged caregiving, sewing and cultural industries, work readiness, employment, and economic development. These programs focus on strengthening families, building practical skills, and supporting economic participation. Early learning and engaged caregiving build strong foundations. Children grow up seeing culture practice, not just spoken about. Skills, values, and confidence develop early in life and carry forward throughout their lifetimes. In sewing and cultural industries, participants design and construct garments, preserve traditional knowledge, develop artistic skill and discipline, and explore entrepreneurship. Our cultural industry programs support both cultural preservation and economic opportunity. Through our workplace readiness, employment, and economic development, participants have the opportunity to build transferable workplace skills, prepare for employment, launch small businesses, and strengthen household income. While each program stands on its own, the skills developed in one area can strengthen outcomes in another. For example, skills in harvesting may support sewing, sewing skills may support entrepreneurship, and early confidence may support employment readiness in the future. This reflects a circular system, not a linear one, and it strengthens identity, family stability, community resilience, and economic independence. Now, I am going to give you some examples of the Ilitaqsiniq workshops we have developed and delivered all internally that we share across Nunavut. So this first one is called Leading in Our Own Way, a women's leadership series. In December of this past year, Ilitaqsiniq had the honor of hosting our first ever Leading in Our Own Way women's leadership series. It was a gathering created to support, uplift, and inspire women as leaders in their own lives, families, workplaces, and communities. We had 20 participants from across the territory, from different backgrounds and different lived experience, all of whom were Inuit, take part in our first workshop. This series was intentionally designed as a restorative and empowering space, rooted in Inuit knowledge, lived experience, and collective care. Rather than focusing on leadership as a position or a title, the workshop invited participants to explore leadership as something deeply personal, something that begins within and grows through connection to others. I'm going to share a reflection from one of our participants in the workshop, and I'm going to name her our Commissioner of Nunavut, Eva Aret, who is also the former Premier of Nunavut. This was her reflection on the workshop. A huge thank you to everyone at Ilitaqsiniq for developing and delivering the first ever Leading in Our Own Way Women's Leadership Conference. The discussions were very meaningful and inspiring. The after-session workshops that included sewing and jewelry making gave us opportunities to relax and bond with each other. It was an amazing experience, and I am so glad that I participated. I wish all the best to Ilitaqsiniq on the continuation of this wonderful program. So we were very excited to receive such high accolades from someone who has such amazing lived experience as a leader in Nunavut, Eva Aria. Leading in our own way affirmed what we already know, that women have always been leaders. This series created space to recognize that strength, reconnect with cultural teachings, and support one another as we continue to grow together. We are very grateful to every participant who shared their time, stories, and energy, and we look forward to building on this work as the series continues. The next workshop I want to share with you is Pilimaksay Yularinak. For some of you who may be aware of the Arctic Inspiration Prize, you may remember that Ilitaqsiniq won the $1 million prize a couple of years ago for our Pilimaksay Yularinak project, and I'm going to describe it a little bit in detail to you now. Our Ilitaqsiniq Pilimaksay Yularinak project was refined through Inuit wellness summits that we held across Inuit Nunaat, ensuring that the workshop reflects the priorities and lived realities of community members. And this is something that makes, I think, Ilitaqsiniq unique, is that we don't just do it on our own or from what we think. We go and we get the information from our community members, from our stakeholders, to help us in designing all of our programs, of which Pilimaksay Yularinak is one. This past year, we delivered this workshop in Iqaluit and Rankin Inlet because it is now a culmination of all the Inuit wellness summits held across Inuit Nunaat, combined with our Pilimaksay Yularinak workshop. And we know that it supports frontline service providers. Our plan is to deliver this workshop across additional communities across Inuit Nunaat in the years to come. This workshop was designed specifically for frontline service providers and community champions, those individuals who carry significant responsibility within their communities. Because at the heart of Pilimaksay Yularinak, it strengthens frontline mental health resilience through Inuit Qayumaytuqangit and culturally grounded approaches to wellness. Our participants engage in a deepened understanding of Inuit history and present-day impacts, exploration of Inuit protective factors and resilience, practical tools for stress management and grounding, healthy boundary setting for frontline roles, and creating culturally safe, respectful environments. The workshop combines reflection, shared dialogue, and cultural practice to build personal resilience, professional sustainability, and stronger peer networks. As I mentioned, this project is supported by the Arctic Inspiration Prize and key partners. And this project allows us at Ilitaqsiniq for the first time to move beyond our Nunavut borders while remaining rooted in Inuit knowledge systems. By the end of the workshop, our participants leave not only with practical tools, but with affirmation, the motivation, and the inspiration to keep going and to keep serving their communities. Pilimaksay Yularinak reinforces that Inuit wellness is not something to be imported. Rather, it is something to be strengthened from within. Another workshop is our Inuit Youth Resiliency Stronger Together project. It brings youth leaders together for 3 days of learning, reflection, and connection. The focus is resilience, not as a concept, but as a lived practice. Youth explore identity and self-confidence, leadership skills, wellness strategies, healthy relationships, and community responsibility. The summit creates space for youth to feel valued, heard, and supported. Our goal is simple, that our youth return home with tools to strengthen both themselves and their communities. But what makes Stronger Together special is that it centers the collective youth voice. We are there to guide, but we are also there to learn from them because resilience grows strongest when it is shared. So earlier in my presentation, I mentioned the Iqaluit Center, and this is a division of Ilitaqsiniq. So I wanted to just bring a little more attention to it because it truly is a community gem. The Iqaluit Center is more than just a program space. It is a community infrastructure for wellness, and wellness begins with safety. Every afternoon, children walk into a warm space where they are known by name. They receive a warm, home-cooked meal. They engage in literacy activities, arts and crafts, social play, and life skills. And they have access, personal access to food and hygiene products and supports. That type of consistency builds emotional security in our children. We also have the Iqaluit Center open in the evenings for older youth to have a space to do homework, learn new skills, which are usually culturally based, connect socially, access healthy meals, and spend time in a positive environment. This reduces isolation, it strengthens peer relationships, and it creates belonging. One of the most powerful aspects of the Iqaluit Center, as I mentioned earlier, is our youth leadership model. We employ 10 Inuit youth students who serve as Ilitaqsiniq's youth leaders, and they promote wellness in multiple ways. It allows our youth to gain meaningful employment. It helps them develop responsibility and confidence. The younger children that they serve see them as role models, and especially important because they look like them and they're from their community. And leadership becomes normalized. This supports graduation rates, skill development, positive identity formation. Wellness is not only emotional, it is economical and aspirational. Through our food programs that are offered at the Iqaluit Center, children eat hot daily meals, families access food supports, food preservation knowledge is shared, and cultural foods are prepared and celebrated. Food security directly supports mental health and physical wellness. When people are nourished, they are better able to learn, connect, and thrive. The Iqaluit Center also provides programming that supports our homeless and home insecure, pre- and postnatal programs, and early childhood development, such as our Pingwakta program, on top of the after-school and evening programs I mentioned. The Iqaluit Center shows what community wellness looks like when it is Inuit-led, relational, and rooted in care. I know this is not the typical audience where they're so inspired by numbers, but we thought it would be helpful for you guys to have a sense of the breadth and scope of Ilitaqsiniq and how many programs we are offering our territory. So, as I mentioned, Ilitaqsiniq delivers programs across Nunavut. This year alone, that's 12-month period that we started April 1st to March 31st, we have delivered 114 programs to date. We have people apply to those programs, and we have had 2,196 total applications for those 114 programs. I wanted to bring this up because the needs and the wants of participation in our programming far outweighs what we are currently able to offer. That is limited, in fact, by funding, by infrastructure, and sometimes by our capacity. So to date, this year, we have served 1,007 participants within our programs. We are very proud of this. You might be wondering, how do they know right to the number how many participants and how many people applied? Well, the following statistics reflect our activity to date because we are able to share these numbers through the implementation of our new database. Ilitaqsiniq created a customized database, what we call the Piliraqsat database, to be able to track and access program data more effectively and efficiently than ever before. This has been a critical tool for strengthening our evaluation, measuring our impact, and responding to community needs in real time. In total, our programs that include drop-in activities or community events reached 3,676 participants during this fiscal year. At Ilitaqsiniq, our work is grounded in a simple truth. Inuit knowledge systems are not relics of the past. Instead, they are frameworks for the future. Everything we've shared here today, from land skills to youth leadership, from food security to economic development, reflects Inuit ways of knowing, caring, and building community. This aligns directly with the conversations that are happening through this speaker series through ICC. Self-determination is not abstract. It is lived through strengthening identity, building local capacity, supporting frontline workers, investing in our youth, and creating economic opportunities rooted in our culture. When programming is Inuit-led and culturally grounded, it becomes more than service delivery. It becomes sovereignty in action. Ilitaqsiniq is one example of what is possible when communities are trusted to lead. And when we invest in Inuit, we strengthen Inuit Nunaat as a whole. Resiliency is not something Inuit are trying to build. It is something we are reclaiming, strengthening, and carrying forward together because it has always existed. Koyan nami, penik nga Melinda.
Wow, thank you so much, Adriana, for that presentation. I think that there are so many reflections and the things that you shared that will open up so many questions and engagement. I'm sure that the audience has many questions and things that they'd like to share. I think that the work that Ilitaqsiniq is doing is powerful, and it really shows like the importance of having an Inuit-led and culturally grounded continuum. I think that the way that Ilitaqsiniq is structured is very holistic and includes a lot of pillars and values that are Inuit-led and Inuit-informed. And I think that it really is like game-changing and allows us to sort of think outside of the box on how we can, in the future or now, change programming to ensure that it fits within our standards. And I think that for the health and well-being of Inuit, that's of utmost importance. We live our lives very holistically, and I think that Ilitaqsiniq's framework is a true reflection of that. So thank you so much for your presentation and all of the amazing information shared throughout. I think that It's 11, almost 11:15 now, so perhaps we can maybe take a 10-minute break and then open it up to the attendees or the audience for questions, comments, feedback. We can do this in multiple ways. So there is the question and answer function at the bottom of the screen. And you can either submit your questions through there or leave some questions in the chat that we're monitoring. And then once we come back from a break, we will have the opportunity to allow any of the attendees or the audience to share some thoughts and insights if they wish to speak out loud. So it's 11:11 now, and I think if we come back at let's say 11:22, then that gives us 10 minutes and the interpreters 10 minutes to breathe as well and get a cup of tea. So we'll come back at 11:22. And feel free to leave your thoughts and comments in the chat or in the question and answer function here. Okay, so it's 11:22 now, and I hope everyone was able to grab a cup of tea or coffee or get some water. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here so that you can see the full gallery of people. Thank you again, Adriana and Ilitaqsiniq, for providing that presentation and sharing some really amazing insights and showcasing the programs and showcasing and highlighting the programs that Ilitaqsiniq delivers to Nunavummiut. Again, as I said earlier, I think it's a true reflection of what an Inuit-led continuum of care or a continuum framework could look like. So I think that now we could possibly open it up to some questions or some feedback. We have some questions in the chat, but first I think maybe we could open it up to the gallery. So all of the attendees should be able to raise their hands if they have any questions or feedback or anything to share with Adriana and Ilitaqsiniq. Okay, Sharon, I see your hand is up, so I'm just going to click that that you can unmute. So you'll just have to press the unmute button at the bottom of your screen.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, nakumek. I just think this is the most incredibly sounding program. And I actually don't want to say anything except that I want to make sure that you see my question in the Q&A. Daima.
Okay, yes, yeah. Oh, I think we're hearing some feedback here.
That's our translator.
Oh, Aleka, can we hear you? Oh, no, okay, it's fixed now. I think it just glitched for a second. Okay, so I think Sharon had asked in the Q&A, she had said, I think you traveled to Nain a couple of years ago and delivered the Inuit Wellness Program. I was part of the on-the-ground trauma team. However, we were not aware of your presentation in Nunavut until after it was delivered. I'm wondering if you will be coming back to deliver it again. And I think that this might be an overall question for Inuit across Inuit Nunaat and Inuit Nunaat and possibly even some urban areas. Is this something that's in the plans or the works for Ilitaqsiniq to sort of expand beyond Nunavut?
So right now our mandate is to serve Nunavummiut, people of Nunavut. However, the Arctic Inspiration Prize, winning that allowed us to go beyond Nunavut's borders, and we used that opportunity to learn from other Inuit regions. So Sharon, I apologize. I'm sorry that you missed out on the Inuit Wellness Summit that we hosted last year. What we will be doing is we will be bringing the Ilitaqsiniq workshop to Nain again in the future, now that we've collected all of the information across Inuit Nunaat and built it up into this Ilitaqsiniq workshop. We will be returning back to the 6 communities across Inuit Nunaat that we hosted the Inuit Wellness Summits in. And I guess this is just for everybody who is tuned in today. Like I mentioned, all of our programs and projects are mainly project-based funded, meaning we have lots of ideas and we want to do lots of things. However, it depends on our funders, which projects, initiatives, and ideas they back financially that allows us to carry out the work. We're very open to collaborating with others. We're very open to supporting other Inuit Nunaat regions, Nunaat across Inuit Nunaat as well. We want to expand our reach, but we want to do it in partnership and collaboration because you know your communities best. I think that's a principle that Ilitaqsiniq very much follows, is that we don't go in to a community and tell people what they need or what they should do. Instead, we work with the community and we ask them, what would you like? How can we support? How can we be an agent to help you achieve your goals? So I would say that to everybody that's tuned in here today, if there are opportunities that for you to be able to collaborate and work with Ilitaqsiniq, we would be open to those opportunities. It's just we don't have our own money per se. We have to go out and get it to be able to do what we do. So Sharon, we will be back. It would be great if you can send me your contact information so that we make sure to invite you when we are back there.
Thank you, Adriana. Any thoughts, Sharon?
Is my mic still on?
Yeah, we could hear you.
Oh, you might have heard me breathing right hard then. No, I just nakumek, nakuslaputik. That's good. It would be it's such an honor and privilege to attend one. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon, for your question and for your feedback. And thank you, Adriana, for answering Sharon's question. So there has been a couple more questions in the chat. One of the first questions was, what does Philip Massaoyu Lirinek mean?
So, pilimaksay yularinak is skill acquisition. Like pilimaksay is to develop skills, to build your skills. And so pilimaksay yularinak is the action of building your skills, like being together, being in a situation, I guess, where you can build your skills. And so that's what we wanted to title our workshop, because we really believe in Inuit, which is like building a human being to be capable, confident, self-sufficient. Like that speaks to our vision for Ilitaqsiniq. So Pilimaksayularinak is the development of skills over time through practice and experience, and creating an able human being through all those opportunities. So we use this workshop to really build people up and give them the skills, tools, resources that they need to continue on with their work that they're doing in their communities.
Thank you, Adriana. I guess maybe I have a little bit of a follow-up question to that, just based on your answer about what that word means and how it really is surrounded around skills acquisition and the action of building skills to create an able human being. Where do you find that the participants of your program tend to like extend their work towards? Like, if does that make sense? Like, what do they do after they take these programs and participate in the programming that Ilitaqsiniq delivers?
I would say for our participants, everybody gets something different out of them, and it really depends on what they needed. Like, what gap is it filling within their heart, within their learning? So for some individuals, it might be the opportunity to learn and work in Inuktitut, because we have elders as instructors in our programs. So if they're not used to being surrounded by Inuktitut, or they don't regularly use the language, being in an environment where it's so readily available will tune their ear into understanding more. And we create the safe space where we allow participants to try. It's okay if they make a mistake. Like we say, we take the shame out of not knowing. We understand that people come to our programs not having had opportunities for positive learning experiences. So we want to change that. And I would say that everybody comes into it maybe wanting or like applies to the program for a specific purpose, but what they might get might each be different. Someone might have wanted to learn a very specific cultural skill. Another person might have like did it to be more socially connected within their community, because it can be isolating sometimes. Another person may have joined it because they took formalized education and they went to college and university and they felt like they missed out on the teaching of cultural practices. But what I would say, where they go with what they learn, that's very widespread too. People use it in a lot of different ways, but I think the core of our programs, regardless of if it's on the land, if it's sewing and cultural industries, it's all about building confidence in our participants, helping them to recognize what always exists within them. It's helping highlight that they are able and capable, that they can do this. It really changes their mindset and the mindset of their community members, because they see these individuals in a new light. For example, sometimes we have participants who are out of school, out of work individuals, and society sometimes dubs those individuals as a hindrance, or, they're marginalized individuals. But at Ilitaqsiniq, we wholeheartedly embrace them. We love to have them in our programs because it changes how they see themselves. It gives them the confidence. It helps them connect to their culture, so that you just literally see them rise up within our programs. And then they take that new aura forward with them in their life, and they apply it to trying for a new job, being more engaged in their children's learning, going back to school, or continuing with the culture-based skill that they learn to use it as a way to make income for themselves and their families. Like, we are so privileged to work for Ilitaqsiniq, where we see these changes happen in real time. And oftentimes when we report to funders, it's difficult to put into words how big of a difference a participant like evolves over the course of a program, even if it's a short program, because it ignites a lifelong learning in them. And I think people get from it what they put into it and use it in a variety of ways.
Thank you, Adriana. Yeah, I think that like in a Western world, it's easy to forget how important culture and tradition are to our identity and moving through life. I think that having those skills, those traditional and cultural skills, really provide such a wholeness, and especially for Inuit. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for delivering programs that provide that to Inuit. I think that we all know that through colonization and through Inuit history, that a lot of that has been stripped, and programs like this really are important to reintegrate those our ways of knowing and being and doing back into our life in this Western and modern world. Okay, so there is another question here. I would love to know if elders were part of the strategic framework for Ilitaqsiniq.
So we have elders that work for us and with us. We have elders who are on our board. And so the short answer is yes. Elders, we consider them key stakeholders in our organization too. And I just want to mention that before we even had our strategic plan, we had our vision of what Ilitaqsiniq programs could be. So how that Ilitaqsiniq innovation came to be is we actually did research on non-formal culture-based programs, and then we compared it to non-formal culture-based programs where we explicitly embedded language literacy and essential skills into the programming. Like, we braided it all together. And all throughout that work, we had an elder with us guiding that work, teaching us, delivering the programs, all those kinds of things. We're very connected to elders. I would say that one thing that's hard is we've lost some of our key elders too, due to their age and health. And it's devastating when we lose them because they are truly the pillars of our organization to hold us up and give us that guidance as younger people in the organization to know how we should approach things within our programs, how we should be designing our organization so that it best serves Inuit. But it's an evolving thing. We have actually even run programs specific to what we call elders in training, meaning we know we have elders who are very capable and talented in cultural practices. Let's say, for example, Iqaluit working with sealskins. And we've had those elders tell us, I'm getting older, my physical abilities is diminishing. I want to do a program where all I do is teach people how to take on my role. So we've done specific programs like that where we're basically creating elders, instructors in training. Those are the types of things we do because we know that we have to be active in continuing that evolvement for our elders because we're going to experience a very significant change, I would say, in the next 10 years. The elders that Ilitaqsiniq have worked with in Nunavut have been born on the land, lived nomadically, lived prior to major Southern influence, have relocated into communities, have gone through that whole Inuit power curve, and historical context that they went through. But we are now coming up on a new era of elders where these elders have always lived in community. They were not born in igloos or tents. They did not live nomadically. So they still have very much the connection to their culture and language, and they still have the skills. It's just a different era of elders that are coming up. And so we at Ilitaqsiniq are trying to be as active as possible in including them in all that we do. So those skills, knowledge, traditions get passed down from one generation to the next.
Thank you, Adriana. Yeah, I think that having elders included in every process is such a vital component of our culture. We prize elders and children, so I think that that's really special. And I see Crystal Allen has her hand raised. I'm going to just click the allow to talk button, and then you'll just have to unmute Crystal. Oh, where'd your hand go? There we go. Okay, I
Hello.
think that there you go.
I just wanted to say what an amazing presentation you guys had. I happened to see you guys in Ottawa when you won the Arctic Inspiration Prize. And I also got to participate in the Inuit Wellness Summit here in Nain. And that was also very powerful. Looking forward to see you guys coming back. This really relates to what I do. I'm a cultural program manager with the Nunavut government, and I guess something that I was just curious about is I know where you won the Arctic Inspiration Prize. Do you guys, I know that money eventually runs out, but do you have long-term funding?
No, unfortunately, that's been a constant struggle for us. So, on that slide where we listed, we ran 114 programs this year. That means we did 114 proposals at least. That means we do 114 reporting requirements at least. And it's a constant struggle. It is it's work behind the work. Like when I explain it to people who don't work in non-for-profits, I said to them, it's a whole layer of work that just all it does is allows us to do our core work, like what's most meaningful and important to us. We do receive funding from different partners for specific projects. We do receive a little bit of core funding from key Inuit organizations and a little bit from the government of Nunavut, but it is very minimal compared to our annual revenues. It's most of our funding is project based, and that makes it extremely difficult for us to just always dream big and go big. It's limiting us.
Thank you, Adriana. Do you have any other thoughts, Crystal?
Am I still unmuted?
Yeah, no, you're good now.
Okay. No, I was just gonna say, like, I hope outside organizations see the importance with what you guys are doing, and for all of Inuit, you guys are setting an amazing example, and I hope the money flow for you guys.
Thank you, Crystal. And yeah, Adriana, do you think that that would be a fix to this barrier, is like being able to secure multi-year funding to implement these programs in a longer term basis?
100%. What I find happens right now at Ilitaqsiniq is we're a lot of stop, start, stop, start. Like we have these amazing programs that can very easily become a continuum, like they can flow into each other. We can include the whole family, the whole intergenerational family. So for example, we can have, and this is not gender specific, I'm just using it as an example, but we do sinaleo programs where we take people to the flow edge where they can hunt seals and whales and different things. So that program can do that. And then the seals that are harvested, we can then take another family member and get them to do the qisiliqinak, where they learn how to flesh skins and traditionally tan them. And then we can go a step further and do a sewing program where they learn to sew kamiks and or sealskin silapaps like we have running right now. We can then do food preservation programs and butchery skills and on the land programs. Like they all of our programs at Ilitaqsiniq are interconnected. They can be so continuous, but because funding is usually based on per program, per like within a set specific time for a set specific group of individuals or a set specific community, it's hard to keep that flowing, but we do our best to do that. What I would say to everyone here, because we're project based, that means we're open to collaboration and partnership, very, very open to that. So if you in your community or in your region have access within your organization to funding opportunities and you say, we want to learn with Ilitaqsiniq, we want them to deliver a program and model it so we can start to do it for ourselves. We want to share this knowledge. It doesn't belong to us. It is Inuit Kauyamayutukangit. It belongs to Inuit. And Inuit have always shared everything that they have to support others, especially those in need. So we want to share our model. We want to share our approaches. We are open to working in partnership with each and every one of you. It's just our time, in order to secure our time, and our staff and our resources, that unfortunately in this situation requires funding to be able to make it happen. But we will bring things to the table too. We will find ways to make things work. One of the questions I noticed there, Melinda, was like, what are some of the barriers, gaps and challenges? That's one of them, the funding, but it's also because we deliver programming across Nunavut, it's sometimes difficult to get to each community. It is very expensive, very, very expensive to travel from one community to the next. So, for example, we had a group of three, an elder and two staff members, travel to the northernmost community, Grise Fjord. It was for a 3-day Inuit Wellness Summit. It took our staff member from Rankin Inlet 2 weeks to get there and back for a 3-day wellness summit due to flight schedules, weather, different things like that. No, that was with good weather, I should point out. We were worried it could be a whole month if there was weather. But this is the realities that we face in Nunavut. We had another program, Kamuseongnaq, which is traditional sled making, and we offered it in a community where very little programming happens, but that community does not have a lumber yard. That community does not have hotels. So right away, a lot of people, this is why programming doesn't happen there, because people just see it as an automatic barrier. Ilitaqsiniq does not see it as a barrier. We see it as our community. We see it as our territory. So we had our staff travel by skidoo to go and deliver the program. Alongside them was a bombardier hauling all of the lumber to get to this community. And they stayed on people's couches during the week they were delivering the program because it's so important to us to serve Nunavummiut. It's a strategic goal of ours to reach one new community per year. We exceed that every year, but we have yet to reach every single of the 25 Nunavut communities. I think we're at about 17, 18, but we just got 2 new ones with that trip to Grise Fiord and Resolute Bay. But this is our mandate. This is our goal. This is what we want to do. And we don't want the barriers to prevent us from offering these amazing programs. And one thing I wanted to mention too is that all of our staff are from Nunavut. We are all Nunavummiut. So we have a very connected interest in providing these programs, meaning the people that we serve are going to become our future leaders. The people that we serve are our community members. And so us not face like for us facing the barriers is part of being a strong, committed community member. We know our people deserve this. We know the impacts that it brings. We know the benefits it provides. So it is always our goal to eliminate as many barriers as possible, not only for our participants, but for ourselves in our program delivery.
Thank you, Adriana. And yeah, I think that that's true innovation where you're traveling to communities on snowmobile to go and deliver programs. And it just really like goes to show how vital Inuit knowledge is to being able to deliver effective programs that really truly serve Inuit in our homelands. Like without the knowledge of hunters and huntresses and the knowledge of like when to travel across the land and the ocean and like what to do in an emergency situation, that kind of initiative couldn't be possible. So yeah, I think it just really highlights the importance of Inuit knowledge and ways of life. I see 3 hands up, and we have about 10 minutes. So I think we'll do Naomi, Tapasa, and then Cecile. And then we'll close up afterwards. We will try to answer some of the questions that have been left in the chat, but in saying this, in the info box on the this Zoom call, you can see Olivia and Adriana's biographies, photo, as well as a way to contact Ilitaqsiniq if you have any further questions. So Naomi, I'll unmute you and give you a chance to ask a question or provide some feedback.
Kaya na may malinda. And kaya na may to Adriana for all of that. That was very wonderful information. My question to you, Adriana, is has Ilitaqsiniq worked with QIA in the past for various programming or workshops, and what capacity? And are you open to expanding permanently?
So just 2 weeks ago, we were in Iqaluit to do stakeholder meetings with current partners and partnerships we wanted to further develop. And QIA was one of those partners. So we met with Romain, Navagana, Inuksuk, and their team. And so it is our goal to have a more established partnership with QIA, because we do have one with the Kivalliq Inuit Association and the Nunavummiut Inuit Association, in which they provide us programming dollars to be able to deliver culture-based programs within that region. So because of that, we have been able to reach every single community in the Kivalliq region, which are 7, and we have been able to reach every community in the Nunavummiut, which are 5 communities. So it's our goal to build a partnership with QIA that allows us to do that type of work too. And so it was about better understanding what funding opportunities they have and provide, and how we can work with them in partnership to help them meet their mandate. QIA couldn't pilakibid.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So this is really good, because now we can work directly with you too. Like I know you were working with meeting with your leadership, but it would be great to connect directly and say how we can support each other to deliver programming across the Kikitani region.
Hey, thank you. Kuyanami.
Alena?
Thank you, Adriana and Naomi. Okay, so Tapasa. I don't know if I'm saying your name properly. Tapasa Morak. I'm going to click the button to allow you to speak, and then you'll just have to click unmute.
Yes, I believe I am unmuted. It's pronounced Tapesa and Marash. Let me lower my hand. I am currently an intern with the State of Alaska Public Health Laboratory in Fairbanks, Alaska. And I discovered my heritage through DNA testing that I was Inuk as part of my university requirements for Alaska Native Studies. My Inupiaq teacher felt I was picking up the language too easily not to have ever heard it. But that brings me to my question. I was really surprised not to see any Alaska representation. And how can we resolve this? Because I am doing this project as part of my internship, which I hope to stay on as a volunteer. And right now, I am translating our current public health flyers into Inupiaq and into Yupik, as well as trying to make our public health clinics more accessible. Do you have any ideas or suggestions for me?
Thank you, Tapasa. I'm going to go back to your first point about not having Alaska Inuit involved. I'm not sure if you're referencing this speaker series in general, or if you're talking about the work that Ilitaqsiniq delivers. So I'll touch on both points. For this specific webinar speaker series, our first guest last week was Abra Batkutak, who's actually one of the attendees today, as our very first speaker, who lives in Anchorage as a birth worker. She was our first speaker, and there is potential to have more Alaska Inuit involved in the speaker series for the rest. But then for Ilitaqsiniq's programming, as Adriana had highlighted, Ilitaqsiniq's mandate is to serve Nunavummiut. So Nunavummiut meaning people from Nunavut, and then hopeful to expand beyond that in the future, depending on funding. Do you have any thoughts, Adriana?
Like right now, our organization serves Nunavut, and until we have opportunities to expand, we will continue serving within our territory. So unfortunately, I feel like I can't really answer her question very well just because we are not located there. But it's great to see that type of work that you're doing. And we have been involved in the past with creating centers within public health clinics to support literacy, Inuktitut literacy language. So that's something we were involved in the past that if you ever want any information on that, we'd be happy to share.
Thank you, Adriana. And yeah, I'll just touch on that again. So the whole idea of this speaker series was one, or a part of it was to unite Inuit across Inuit Nunaat. So all of our countries in attempt not only to unite, but to knowledge share and to mobilize knowledge right from the communities all the way throughout Inuit Nunaat so that programs like Ilitaqsiniq or the birth work that Abra does and presented on last week can be widely shared and hopefully implemented in different places in the future. And if not implemented, then finding ways to connect the pillars and the values and all insights and highlights of all of the amazing work that these individuals and organizations are doing in attempt to create more visibility. So I don't know if that answers your question, Tapasa, but do you have any thoughts?
Yes, it answered quite a few of my questions, and I am going to connect for the speaker from last week. If I had seen this on Facebook earlier, I would have signed up last week, but it's important work that we are trying to do now in Alaska in the public health department. We're trying to correct a lot of problems with our website, with connecting with the public health clinics all throughout the North Slope is the part that I personally am handling. So honestly, any ideas or suggestions, I posted my email in the chat. Feel free to get in touch with me. I would love to hear any suggestions anyone might have to better help us reach our public on the North Slope.
Thank you, Tapasa. So we're 1 minute away from 12 o'clock my time, so 2 p.m. Eastern and I think 10 a.m. in Alaska and almost 5 p.m. in Greenland. So I think that we won't take any more questions now. I just really want to say thank you to you, Adriana, and to Ilitaqsiniq for finding the time to present and highlight and showcase all the amazing things that you're doing for Nunavummiut and giving all of us hope for the future that the amazing programs that Ilitaqsiniq delivers can be delivered in other areas where Inuit reside. I do also want to say thank you to our interpreters, Aleka, Rhoda, and Cindy for providing your interpretation today. I think that accessibility is so essential in these platforms. Again, I want to say thank you to Corinne for providing the digital art and notes, and to my colleague Alicia, who has kept me fully present today. Last week, if you were tuned into last week, I was a little bit all over the place because I was dealing with some of the background issues. But this week was wonderful. And again, we have 4 more webinars. It'll be each week, every Wednesday at this same time. With different speakers from across Inuit Nunaat. So please feel free to rejoin for the rest of the speaker series. My contact information is within the poster. So if you do have any questions that you'd like to relay back to Ilitaqsiniq or any of the previous speakers, please feel free to share that through email and I will connect you. Adriana's or Ilitaqsiniq's general email is within the information of this Zoom call, so please feel free to reach out to Ilitaqsiniq directly. And again, thank you, Adriana and Ilitaqsiniq, for this wonderful presentation and sharing so many thoughts and insights, and for the work that you do for Nunavummiut and Inuit across Inuit Nunaat. I think like it's just wonderful to see so many good things happening for the health and well-being of Inuit. So yes, thank you. And I hope to see some of the attendees next week. And I think, Adriana, if you have any thoughts, you're welcome to share. We still have a couple people on, but no pressure. I'm still going to be on until everyone's kind of resolved here. So,
No, just thankful to be able to share our story about Ilitaqsiniq. We've never had a platform like this before. We tend to just work directly in our work, in our territory, and we get told all the time we should be sharing this more broadly, but we haven't necessarily found the right opportunity to do so. So I'm really thankful to you, Melinda, for granting us this chance to share all about Ilitaqsiniq and have it reach such a wide, vast landscape across Inuit Nunaat. And I really do hope it leads to strong partnerships and a greater network for Ilitaqsiniq to work with in the future.
yeah, absolutely. No, thank you so much, Adriana. And I just, I know that you can't see the attendee list, but at the highest amount of viewers today was 84 people. So I think that you've gotten a really, really huge reach, and I'm very proud of that. And the amount of viewers has sort of exceeded my expectations fully. So I'm very happy, and we're very honored to have Ilitaqsiniq taking this space. So thank you. Okay, so I am going to end the webinar now. And yes, if you have any other questions or comments or feedback, please feel free to reach out. And I look forward to seeing more attendees at future webinars. Thank you. Take care. Okay. Okay, bye, Adriana. Take care. I'll reach out to you on email.